Welcome back, dears. Today we are going to talk about Wonders of the World, Unit 14. But first of all, as you know, I want to ask you a question. Can you name any of the 7 wonders of the ancient world? On the next slide, we are going to check some new words. For example, the first word, dome. Dome is a round roof on a building or a shape or building like a bowl cut in half. The next word, fountain. Fountain is a structure from which water is pushed up into the air, used for example as decoration in a garden or park. The next word, marble. Marble is a type of hard rock that becomes smooth when it is polished and is used for making buildings or statues. The next word, ruler. Ruler is someone such as a king or queen who has official power over a country or area. Minaret. Minaret, a tall thin tower on a mosque from which Muslims are called to prayer. Man-made. Man-made, made by people rather than by natural processes. Monument. Monument, a building, a statue, or other large structure that is built to remind people of an important event or famous person. So, monument is a building, statue, or other large structure that is built to remind people of an important event or famous person. Cliff. Cliff is a large area of rock or a mountain with a very steep side, often at the edge of the sea or a river. A large area of rock or a mountain with a very steep side. And bibliotheca. Bibliotheca is a collection of books or a library. Now let's check these exercises here, or the first exercise here. I want you to complete the sentences. The Taj Mahal is a space in India. The space is made of space. It has tall space. You'll find this exercise in your student's book. So the answers here, and I told you before to pause the video if you need more time to think about the answers. So the answers here, the Taj Mahal is a monument in India. The dome is made of marble. It has tall minaret. Now I want you to check the grammar books in your book. It's about the present perfect passive. And of course you know that we use the present perfect passive to talk about recent events or general experiences without a specific time, when it is more important to talk about an action than the person who did it. For example, plans have been made for the next class trip. Another example, the dishes haven't been washed yet. And the form for the present perfect passive is have or has been and plus past participle. And of course in the negative sentences you will use not, haven't, or hasn't been past participle. For example, the next date for our book club hasn't been decided yet. Or the painting has been sold for a lot of money. And in the last point, I remind you that we can use by to say who or what did the action. For example, the prize has been won by a 15-year-old boy. Now let's check this exercise here. I want you to rewrite the sentences in the present perfect passive. The first sentence here, they have painted the building again. We want to write the sentences in the present perfect passive. So the answer here, The building has been painted again. Number 2, someone has drawn a picture in my diary. The answer, a picture has been drawn in my diary by someone in brackets. As I told you, if you won't use it, it's okay. Number 3, our school has won the competition. The answer, the competition has been won by our school. Number 4, archaeologists have found an ancient building in the desert. The answer, an ancient building has been found in the desert by archaeologists. Number 5, we have collected a lot of money for the charity. So to make this sentence in a passive form, we'll start with a lot of money has been collected for the charity by us. Number 6, they have planted trees along the river. We start the answer with the word trees. Trees have been planted along the river. The functions box. The functions box is about asking for opinions and expressing agreement or disagreement. If you want to ask for opinions, you can ask 3 questions. You have 3 forms here. The first question, for example, what do you think of, in brackets, the Sphinx, for example? You can change this word here. What do you think of the new restaurant? What do you think of the Cairo Tower? The next question, how do you feel about, for example, the Cairo Tower? And the last one, do you agree? To express agreement, you can use one of these forms here. Also, you have 3 forms. I couldn't agree with you more. Remember this expression here. To express agreement, you can use I couldn't agree with you more. That's how I feel, or that's exactly how I feel. And the third one, you have a point there. To express disagreement, you can say I'm afraid I disagree, or I'm afraid I totally disagree, or I feel completely the opposite. Now let's check the last page on your student's book. The first exercise is to complete the text. You have a text here and you have 3 words like dome, marble, minaret, and the text says that this is a beautiful mosque in Cairo. To enter, you walk across an area with a floor made of marble. It's already given, the first one. Made of marble. The top of the tall space reminds me of the shape of a pencil. So the second space here is minaret. The top of the tall minaret reminds me of the shape of a pencil. The roof of the mosque is a huge round, of course, dome. The next exercise, rewrite the newspaper headlines using the present perfect passive. You have 4 sentences here, and we want to use the present perfect passive. The first sentence, a fire has damaged ancient objects. So the answer here, ancient objects have been damaged by a fire. Number 2, people have decided on a new list of the wonders of the world. The answer, number 2, a new list of the wonders of the world has been decided. Number 3, what have they called the new baby? So the answer, what has the new baby been called? Number 4, Egypt has won the international competition. And the answer, the international competition has been won by Egypt. Now I want you to complete the dialogue. You have a dialogue between Fawzi and Shadi. Fawzi, as a man-made wonder of the world, what's Space Buckingham Palace in London? It's amazing. I'm asking about the opinion here. So, in the first space we can say, what do you think of Buckingham Palace in London? It's amazing. Shadi, I space. It's not very old and it's not very beautiful either. So, he expressed here disagreement. So we can say here, alright, I totally disagree, or I disagree. It's not very old and it's not very beautiful either. Fawzi, you space there. What about the Bibliotheca Alexandria? So, the third space here, you have a point there. What about the Bibliotheca Alexandria? That's a beautiful building. Shadi, yes, I couldn't space. I love the fact that it has museums inside it as well as the library. So he expresses here agreement. Yes, we can say, yes, I couldn't agree more. I love the fact that it has museums inside it as well as the library. And Fawzi said, that's a space. It's an amazing building. The answer, that's how I feel, or that's exactly how I feel. It's an amazing building. Now let's check your workbook. The first exercise here is to match the words and their meanings. You have 5 words like Greece, dome, marble, minaret, monument, ruler. We want to match the words with their meanings. The first word, Greece. The answer is, of course, letter E, a country between Italy and Turkey. Number 2, dome. Dome, it will be letter F, the top of a building that is the shape of half a ball. Number 3, marble. Marble, it will be letter B, a very hard white, black or pink rock used for building. Number 4, minaret. Minaret is letter C, a tall thin tower. And number 5, monument, it will be letter A, something that is built to remind people of an important event or person. And number 6, ruler, of course it will be letter D, a person like a king who can tell people what to do. The next exercise is to write what would you say in each of the following situations using the present perfect passive. The first situation here, your mother asks if you have finished cleaning the kitchen. The dishes are not clean yet. What would you say? Yes, we can say here, the dishes haven't been cleaned yet. Remember that we want to use the present perfect passive, just this tense here in this exercise. Number 2, your friend asks you when the book club will meet. The club didn't decide. So the answer, the date hasn't been decided yet, or the date hasn't been chosen yet. Number 3, a friend asks you who won the sports competition this afternoon. Your brother's school won it. The answer, the sports competition has been won by my brother's school. The next exercise is to complete the sentences using the present perfect passive or the verbs in brackets. Okay, the first one is already given. We space teach the present perfect in English. So the answer, we have been taught the present perfect in English. Number 2, what's the most expensive thing that space in brackets buy at the market this week? So the answer, what's the most expensive thing that has been bought at the market this week. Number 3, the students in my class, in brackets, not tell about the date of the exam yet. The answer, the students in my class haven't been told about the date of the exam yet. Number 4, some buildings, in brackets, damaged in the earthquake. It will be, some buildings have been damaged in the earthquake. And number 5, it's a question for space in trees, space in brackets, plant in the park this year. So the answer here, have any trees been planted in the park this year? Here I want you to choose the correct answer from A, B, C, or D. The first one, is Lake Nasser natural or is it modern, traditional, man-made, personal? Yes, natural, or is it man-made? Baghdad is a big city in Greece, Iraq, Egypt, England. Of course, Baghdad is a big city in Iraq. Number 3, there is a big space where the river goes over a cliff. There is a big fall, waterfall, water drop, water cycle. The answer is waterfall. There is a big waterfall where the river goes over a cliff. Number 4, you can usually find trees and birds at an space in the desert. Art gallery, adventure, oasis, object. So the answer, you can usually find trees and birds at an oasis in the desert. In this exercise, I want you to complete the dialogue. You have a dialogue between Dina and Nihal. Dina, what do you space this big building in London? Nihal, I think the building's very boring. Dina, I'm afraid I space. It's a new building for an art gallery. I like it. Nihal, you have a space there. The modern bridge is amazing. Do you space? Dina, that's space how I feel. I think that London has an exciting mix of old and new buildings. So, let's check the answers. In the first space here, what do you think of this big building in London? I think the building's very boring. I'm afraid I disagree. It's a new building for an art gallery. I like it. A point there. The modern bridge is amazing. Do you agree? That's exactly how I feel. I think that London has an exciting mix of old and new buildings. Now I want you to write what would you say in each of the following situations. The first situation here, you see a photo of a modern museum. Your friend said that he or she doesn't like it, but you have another opinion. So what would you say? Yes, we can say, I'm afraid I totally disagree, or I feel completely the opposite. Number 2, there is a new cafe in your area. You want to know what your friend thinks about it. Asking about opinion. Remember the functions books. So we can say here, what do you think of it, or how do you feel about it? Number 3, your friend said that the test you both did was very easy. You express your opinion. We can say, for example, I couldn't agree with you more, or that's exactly how I feel. Number 4, you tell your brother or sister that the hotel you all stayed in was very nice. You want to know if he or she thinks the same. The answer, the hotel was very nice. Do you agree? In this exercise here, I ask you to complete the sentences with these words. You have 4 words: misprint, misread, redo, and reread. The first sentence, the teacher asked Hassan to space his homework because he didn't do it very well. So the answer here, the teacher asked Hassan to redo his homework because he didn't do it very well. To do something again, redo, to do something one more time. Number 2, look, it says today's news in the newspaper. This is a space, misprint or misread or reread. Of course, the answer, misprint. There is something wrong with these words. Okay, number 3, I spaced his name and thought he was called Tim instead of Tom. So the answer, I misread his name. And number 4, it is a good idea to space any books that you are studying at school to understand them better. So the answer here, of course, will be reread. It is a good idea to reread any books that you are studying at school to understand them better. Thank you very much, with my best wishes.